Hello everybody, this is Dustin the Wind here with his lovely wife Ashley at Lost Valley Conservation Area again. This is an area real close to where we saw the armadillo thing, so again I said real close. I'm not going to go back to that particular area because I think it's some kind of weird dimensional vortex and I don't want anything following me home again. Another time that we were out here, this was, I believe, after the armadillo experience. I mentioned before this area used to actually be 3 towns, and during World War II, the government came in and bought everybody out, and I think a lot of people probably got a raw deal, didn't really get what their property was worth or whatever. And
yes, it was forced.
And you can still
moving.
find like remains of the old towns and stuff. That's what we were out here looking at. I was interested in that. That's how we found the armadillo thing too. But we found a spot where you could tell it used to be like the foundations of an old church, and there was an old cemetery by it. And you could tell it wasn't the most well-to-do cemetery. Like a lot of the graves were like carved out of local rock and stuff. But I just had this weird feeling while I was there. She was like, hey, you're stepping on a grave and you shouldn't. And I was like, whatever, they're dead, you know, who cares? So we get home and that's when things start getting weird. Did you want to jump in?
Yeah, we started having a series of strange experiences that build. It starts, for me, I start noticing just kind of a creepy feeling in my own home. My son was a baby, and so, you know, I was at home with him a lot, and I would just have this ominous feeling every once in a while, like there was just something creepy that I couldn't put my finger on. And then it escalated into I would start to see shadows, like...
Yeah, which I noticed this too, like you'd see
almost like
shadows,
a dark orb.
Or like, a shadow of a person, like out of the corner of your eye.
Then it escalated into almost the form of what looked like a man, and it felt like a man.
Yeah, and I remember when I knew it was legit when we were talking before we went to bed one night, and she mentioned this to me, and she was like, yeah, I feel like I always see this shadowy shape in like the same part of our room. And I was like, yeah, is it right next to the dresser? And she's like, yeah,
yes.
How'd you know that? And I was like, I see it too. And then I believe it was the following morning, I was laying in bed and I thought that she had got up to like go to the bathroom or something and was coming back to bed because I heard clearly footsteps on the carpet. And I looked over and I saw she was just totally passed out. So whatever I heard wasn't her, and that's when I decided that, okay, you know, you got to go.
Well, also it got to the point where I was feeling so creeped out that I would get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and I have not done this since I was a kid. I was so freaked out that I would keep my eyes closed from the minute I put my feet on the floor. I would use things I could feel, go to the bathroom, eyes closed, come back, then get in bed, and I would be like, okay, I made it. And It was such a weird experience because I have not felt that way since I was a little kid. So I knew something was going on, and I didn't even at first bring it up. And then finally when I'm like, okay, something's going on. And then he's like, yeah, I had that too.
Yeah. So after the footstep thing, I was done. I was like, buddy, you can't just hang out in my bedroom while I'm sleeping. That's the other weird thing, too. I don't know how we know this. We both just feel like it's a guy, right?
Yeah, it felt like
a guy, like a man.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we got some sage. We burned a bunch of sage, did a smudging, prayed to, you know, God and Jesus and the spirits of light to send him on his way. And I talked to the guy about how, like, I think I didn't know for sure his story, but I felt like, you know, he was probably one of the people that didn't do so well in the land deal, and then maybe he died and was just hanging on to that anger this whole time. So I explained to him that I was like, buddy, I get it. But you need to stop being mad at me because you are preaching to the choir. I feel you. That was unfair what happened, but it was also like almost 100 years ago, and you need to move on. And
And you were
after
having
that,
these thoughts
it
that
went away.
Yeah. We think he transitioned after Dustin basically sat down, opened his heart, and said, okay, that was a long time ago. This is what's happening now. We're
Yeah.
pretty sure that he crossed over because ever since, and we know exactly where it happened in our
Yeah.
house.
Because now there's like a weird portal area by our dresser that one time when he was sick, our son Cash like tried
He
to...
had a very high fever.
Yeah, he tried to like run through the wall.
He was insistent that there was something there, and
Yeah.
he was trying to
Yeah,
get
that
through
was
it.
weird. So anyway, watch out for portals, people. Ghosts might follow you home.
And the biggest thing we learned is fear did not help us. It's only when we transitioned into our sovereignty and are like, okay, maybe I can help.
Show him a little love. Listen
Yeah.
to him like, I understand. You feel like you were wronged.
He followed us home for a reason, and I'm very proud of you for
Hmm.
setting him free.
Well, thank
Feel-
you. Yeah, at a certain point, you know, he was justified in being angry about that, but how long are you going to stay mad about that, bro? Is it really worth carrying on into eternity and missing out on whatever there is? I mean, there's got to
It's
be
like he couldn't
there's got to
see
be
the
something
door.
better than, you know, hanging around haunting this forest and following me home.
So if you have any interesting stories, leave them in the comments below because we would like to read them.
Yeah.
And go out there, see if anything happens, and let's start documenting it and talking about it because
Yeah, and don't
interesting.
be afraid. You know, if there is a ghost, maybe try talking to it.
Right.
You know?
Or at least setting healthy boundaries.
Yes.
Getting some sage.
Yeah, and watch out. Certain areas, these sorts of things can just happen. Because I think it's noteworthy that the ghost thing happened within 500 feet of where the armadillo thing happened.
Right.
And I used to think that ghosts and UFOs and that sort of thing were totally unrelated phenomenon, but apparently not.
All right.
Yeah,
Till next
so that's
time.
that.
Our ghost story. Bye.